welcome to episode 3 of our podcast. I'm Alex, one half of the Sober Experiment.
And I'm Lisa, the other half of the Sober Experiment. Oh my God, Alex, what a week.
It's been mega this week. My kids have stressed me out like you wouldn't believe. My eldest has been a little... I'm not going to say it. Sorry if you're listening, my lovely little boy. It's been hard work this week. Stresses with work. Yeah, I think it's just been a horrific week in that respect. What about you?
I've struggled as well this week. I've been so busy at work in my other job, and the kids have kind of drove me a little bit crazy. They were all here today in the house somewhere, so if we hear any slamming doors, then that is why.
Or it could be Lisa falling backwards into her wardrobe.
I do feel weird. This podcast actually comes from within the wardrobe. Don't ask.
So... we've had some good stuff this week, though, as well. Really good
We
stuff.
have had some good stuff. In fact, really good stuff this week. We've got some really exciting news
that we can't tell you. We will share when we're allowed.
Yes,
it
we
is
will.
Exciting. We have sent out our 30-day coaching videos. Lots of people trialling that.
Yeah, we've had some really good feedback from that as well, so thank you. We do need to finish them though now.
Yeah, that's got to happen this week, otherwise you're going to be further ahead with our experiment than we are. No, we will have it done. And also we have completed our workplace presentations, and that's ready to launch.
It is ready to launch.
What else? T-shirts?
T-shirts, we've got matching T-shirts. I love them.
I love them as well, they're brilliant. And badges.
And pin badges, yeah.
I think that's pretty much our week in a nutshell.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So, today we thought we would talk to you about what we've called Tug of War. Lisa's going to go first with this one today, so it's going to be a little bit less conversational and a bit more storytelling, I think.
I think so.
Tug of War, because this is the bit where we both came to the separate conclusion that we were no longer going to drink. So kind of the run-up to D-Day, if you like. So it's Tug of War, and you'll hear why. Right, go.
I suppose I kind of toyed with the idea when a friend did 12 months a good few years ago, and I was absolutely gobsmacked. I was like, I just couldn't see a life without alcohol in it, but I knew that I wanted to do it at some point. And I remember thinking I'd love to give 12 months to go, but I just thought it was impossible, to be honest. Then I used to run a Slimming World group, and one of my members, she was a lovely lady called Sue, and she'd done a 100-day alcohol-free challenge. And I remember at the time being absolutely gobsmacked that she could do 100 days. I remember she went on holiday to Canada, and I was stood there at the front of the group like, what? 100 days without drink? Like, how on earth have you done that on holiday?
We can't do a night.
Yeah, I just couldn't. And I suppose, I don't know whether it's around where we live or other people feel like this, but I could never see a life without alcohol in it. I just thought that's how you had a good time.
We've never known one without alcohol in it, so why would you?
Yeah, that's it, I suppose. But yeah, I was just gobsmacked that anybody could do 100 days. And then another friend of mine was doing 100 days, I'd seen on Instagram. Yeah. So all these were like little seeds being planted. Yeah. I'd got to a point where each weekend I was saying, I'm going to stay in this weekend and chill out and not drink.
Yeah.
And then I'd work Saturday morning, because I ran the group at that time. I'd come home, I'd throw my stuff in the conservatory, and then that would be it, really. I would start drinking about 2 p.m. on a Saturday. I felt like I deserved it after a really hard day's work. You know, after a hard morning, it was like my time, really. And I didn't realise, but alcohol had then started to sneak up on me. I'd got to the point where I'd really, really wanted to stop at the weekends, or I'd just want to go for a couple, and I wouldn't. I'd end up out all night, and I'd find other people that were doing the same thing. And if people was going out and going home, I could feel myself going or looking for other people that looked like they were going to stay out longer.
Yes.
So then I would end up staying out longer with them, really. I think once I realised I was drinking more than I ever wanted to, I thought, you know what, cutting back's going to be well easy. I'll just not go out. And I just found it really, really hard. I was wrong. It became every weekend for months and months. My teenagers at that time were wild. Like, they were actually going wild. I'd split up from my husband. So I was using it as like my time, really.
You did see it. I remember you saying to me, you did see it as your real you time, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was like I deserved to go out at the weekends and drink because I'd worked so hard all week. My kids were driving me mad. Like, yeah, I deserved that time. Why couldn't I go out on a Saturday night and have fun with my friends? I didn't realise how much it was really affecting me and the kids, really, though. You know, I have 3 teenagers. They need you at home more than ever, I think.
And I think you find that now, don't you? You can see it.
Oh, my God, yeah. Like, I really, really can. Also, at that time, I found that I was really oversharing when I was going out. Like, because I was having so much trouble at home, I was kind of finding people to talk to and telling them all about my life and oversharing things that just weren't anybody else's business, really.
Did you feel a bit poor you, do you think?
Oh, yeah. I felt well sorry for myself, which nobody would believe that because I was always kind of life and soul.
And you're so upbeat now. It's like it's not you, is it?
Yeah, I did feel a bit sorry for myself. And nearer the time when I decided or made the decision to stop drinking, my grandma had not long passed away. That really affected all of us, really, and we had a bit of a family drama going on with members of the family at that time.
Yeah.
All drink-induced, looking back at it, you know, like family arguments and things. I was just really, really sad, and I needed to be there, and I wasn't fully present for anybody. I wasn't fully present for my mum in that time. I wasn't fully present for my kids in that time. And it was just all getting too much for me, really.
You're probably looking back now, weren't even fully present for yourself at that time. I mean, you look at the things you do now, like your meditation, your exercise, all that. You wouldn't have fit that in, would you?
I never did. No, I think I did quite a bit of exercise around that time, but looking back, I think I was just trying to prove to myself that I'd not drank that much, so I could do. I could get up and go to the gym or whatever, which wasn't always my weekends were genuinely, they were just a write-off. They became a write-off. And I remember before I quit drinking, I thought to stop drinking would be like a lifetime of feeling bored and awkward.
And boring.
I was so frightened that people would find me boring. Like, what would I do? Like, if I were to go out with my friends and not be drinking, like, I didn't know what to talk about or what to do. I just couldn't imagine it without drinking. But my final time was I'd gone out on a Sunday. I'd had a glass of Prosecco at my mum's with my eldest daughter, who was like 20 at the time. So we'd had a glass of Prosecco and then another and then another and then another. And then I did what I would always do after a few and think, right, I'm going out.
You didn't want to think it, Lisa. Don't kid yourself. You used to say it.
I did. I'd say it and I was like, right, that's not enough for me. I'm going out. So I was like, Beth, you go home and look after the other 2. Make sure they're all right. And then off I went. And I just, on my own as well, I'd just like appear in pubs in our local village. And be like, hi. And there was one pub that used to do a karaoke on a Sunday night. So I appeared there on the Sunday night and I drank. I never sang though.
No, that'd be me.
But you're a good singer. It's a good job I never sang. But yeah, I'd gone out on this Sunday night, ended up drinking with people that I didn't really know that well. I'd gone back to a house party on a Sunday night. Like, people have house parties on Sunday nights.
People go to house parties on Sunday nights with kids and jobs.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I'd ended up going to this house party, and I remember sat on this sofa thinking, I don't belong here. This isn't all right. This isn't me. And it started to really, like, I used to use the excuse when I was drinking that you only live once, you're having fun. I actually used to write notes on my phone to myself, and you'll know me, so it might not surprise you, but I would be drinking and be thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm having such a good time. And I'd write a note on myself, do not feel guilty tomorrow. You had fun. You only live once. That's what I actually did. I had to remind myself that I was having fun, which, like, isn't really having fun. But yeah, I knew on that Sunday night I'd got home and I woke up on the Monday morning and there was no chance in hell I was going to work. I was so ill. I was so ill. And I remember just looking at myself, and I took that final selfie, which...
the one where...
yeah. And I'm quite proud to show that selfie now, because I've come a long way. But I took that picture, and I remember looking at myself thinking, you look at that picture, Lisa, and remember what an absolute loser you've been. You know, to not be able to go to work. And I work for myself as well. I couldn't even get up to go and get my computer to do it
for yourself.
For myself. So it's like I just felt so awful. I couldn't sort the kids out for school. It was just, I just felt horrific. And I knew somebody had recommended a book to me. And it was The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober. That was the first book that I actually read. And I started it that day. And that was it, really. I thought in fact, I put it on Facebook. I said, that's it, I'm quitting drinking for 100 days.
I bet you had some funny comments on there.
So, nobody believed me. They were like, whatever. But yeah, I think that was it. I put down, I was stopping for 100 days to kind of... I knew if I put it on Facebook, then I had to try. But in that time, I'd forgot that I'd got holidays booked. So
we'll only be sharing that next week.
I know we will do. But yeah, what was your...
I think mine's quite different than yours, you know. You've got to remember where I was, because you had stopped almost a year before me. So my best friend had stopped, and I remember when you told me you'd stopped, and it was that same day. I don't think I actually did think, yeah, right. I'm pretty sure I thought I knew it was coming, do you know, like in a weird sort of way. And you said you'd stopped drinking, and I was kind of pleased for you, but I was also a little bit like, who am I going to go out with? Who's going to get me in trouble? You know, who's going to get in trouble with? Not in a, you know, I looked forward to our now quite rare nights out. But yeah, I think that really that's what sowed the seed for me, was you stopping and me watching you blossom and bloom and meet new people, and obviously setting up the Be Sober Manchester, and it kind of inspired me to give it a go. But on top of that, I guess if I go right back, the first time I kind of questioned my drinking was after a work night out. And I'd had this work night, well, it had been a work day out, and I'd promised my husband I'd be home at a certain time, and you know what I'm like when I do that, it never works, you know, and I blacked out, and I'd never really I think maybe once I blacked out, but I experienced a real blackout on that evening. I got into Manchester City Centre, and I remember walking into a pub in Piccadilly Gardens, but from that point I don't remember anything until I was being woken up on Piccadilly train station, and I really do not remember anything. I can visualise myself walking to the bar and down the stairs. I don't remember anything else. And a man woke me up on the platform and said, it's the last train. Now I know that I left my friends at 5 p.m. I've lost 6 hours of my life because it was the last train.
That is such a long time.
And it was ages, and I don't know how long I'd been asleep on the platform. And I was asleep on the platform. And this man woke me up and he said, train to Crewe. And I was like, oh yeah. And I kind of staggered on, and I was dozing off. And I don't know if it was the same man or a different man, but he woke me up again on my station. And as I stood up, I got sick all down myself, which it was awful. My phone had run out of battery, and I didn't have any money. I knew they wouldn't let me in a taxi. So I remember thinking, I'm not going to get in a taxi looking like this. So I tried to walk the 1.5 miles home, but I wasn't really in a state. Anyway, eventually I got to a phone box, and with the £1 that I had in my purse, I managed to phone my husband, who came to get me, and he was absolutely disgusted.
I can imagine.
He was disgusted. He just took one look at me and he said, do you have any idea what you've put me through tonight? And I was like, oh, shut up, you know, like, just being horrible. And he said, I thought you'd been murdered. I thought you'd been raped. I couldn't get hold of you. And then when I saw you in this state, crying in the street, get in the car, I don't want to speak to you. And I actually fell asleep with my head in the sink that night, and he ignored me. And it was days and days before he spoke to me. And I remember waking up the next day thinking, this isn't right. This isn't normal. People do not do this, you know, like, and I guess that was the first time. Fast forward maybe a year, and you stopped, and then fast forward a year again, where I saw how well you were doing, and I knew that I didn't want to drink anymore. And I had like a full conference going on in my head. This wasn't just one inner voice. This was like 50 voices. You want to stop? Oh, what we're going to do for the rest of our lives? No, don't stop.
I know exactly
you know
what you mean.
And but you know, if you can do it, won't you look good? And I really cared what everybody would think of me, rather than what I really wanted to do. And massive fear of missing out. What am I going to do at parties? What am I going to do if my husband's drinking? But I knew I also had to stop. I could feel my health deteriorating. I could feel that I was getting sucked in, and I could feel my personality changing. I'd always been dead happy, and I wasn't anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, bank holiday weekend, and went out with my husband for some food. He happened to meet a friend and wanted to go out for a night. I massively lost my shit big time, right, over nothing. Went home, sulking. He went out, sulk, got more and more fuming as the night went on, drinking white wine, drank. I think I drank 2 bottles of white wine on my own. And when he came in, I launched a sandwich at his head, right? I know it sounds funny, but it wasn't. Well, it wasn't. I didn't care what it was like. I just threw this sandwich. You've left me. And he woke up the next day and he just said, look, this is it. I cannot put up with your behaviour like this. I didn't sleep all night, and I went into work the next day ashamed. I came home from work and I said, that's it, I'm stopping drinking. And I did. And I stopped. And I remember phoning you and saying I'm stopping. Whether or not you believe me, I don't know.
Oh, I was just so excited to have my best friend start the journey. I remember feeling like, yes!
Yeah. And you recommended This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. And I remember getting it on audio and listening to it every day. And then about 3 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant.
Yeah, you did.
And honestly, it took out, I mean, I was 40 at this point, and 39 I was, because I remember it was just before my 40th, and I was excited that I was going to still be in my 30s having my last child.
Yeah.
And it took away all the motivation to not drink, because I never drank pregnant and I never drank breastfeeding, so I kind of didn't have to try. So I was still telling everybody I've quit drinking.
I remember you saying to me as well, I'd have still done it anyway.
Yeah, but like justifying it. And I think I probably would have done it, but I didn't have to try. So I stopped doing the reading and the educating myself and just relied on the fact that I was pregnant. And then, as you know, at like 11 and a half weeks, I went for my scan, and it just stopped growing that day before. I went to go through surgery, and I got the news on the Friday in my scan that I'd had the miscarriage, but they couldn't operate on me till the Monday. And I said to my husband, drive me to the pub. And he took me to the pub, and straight away I had a full bottle of Prosecco and just sat crying. And then there was a load of family stuff, if you remember, and I had quite a turbulent time with arguments, with things that had gone on, and I just drank. And before I knew it, I was worse than I ever was, because now, not only was I binge drinking on weekends, but I was nasty and bitter with it. So I was argumentative, my personality switched. I actually became a little bit unbearable, and I didn't like it though, and I knew. And inside I was thinking, I need to quit. I'm not a nice person. And I was seeing you, and I was seeing, myself changing. I reconciled with my family. Things started to get better, but I was still living for Friday. Every Friday, I want my wine. And then I was at my in-laws' house, and I had a lot to drink, and I woke up in the morning. And I just looked at myself in the mirror. There's like mirrors at the bottom wall. And I looked at myself and I just thought, oh my God. And I actually cried at my own reflection and thought, look what you're doing. Look what you're doing to yourself. Took my selfie, because I knew you'd done one, because you sent me it.
You actually sent me a video. I remember the video.
And I videoed myself saying, look at me, I look like shit. And I did my usual hunchback impression, walking around and vomiting everywhere and getting to the toilet.
Oh, bless you.
And I remember sending you the video and saying, this is it. I will never go back to this point in my life again, ever.
I knew at that point.
And it is like, I'd like to say that the time I threw the sandwich at my husband's head was the time I stopped drinking. and I'd like to say that the time I woke up and found my then toddler with his hands down the back of a plug socket terrified me enough to stop me drinking. And I'd like to say that the time that I still don't know whether it's true or not, that I think I might have left my kids in bed at night and I don't know, was the time. But it wasn't. It was waking up with that awful hangover, looking in the mirror and thinking, I don't like the person that's looking back at me, and the shame. I felt ashamed of myself, and I think that's the battle I went through. But when I knew, and it was amazing. It was just like a revelation. And I mean, I know we'll talk about this more in the next one, but that revelation keeps revealing itself over the next 100 days, doesn't it? And beyond.
It really does. You know, at the beginning, I remember thinking, like halfway through the book, actually, I knew that it was going to be forever, and I didn't dare tell anybody because I was so, because everybody was like, you are going to drink again, you are going to drink again, and I was really, really frightened of telling people, like, no, I think this might be forever. I can't imagine that now, but at the time it was such a big thing.
I think the thing that's kept me on the, I would like to say straight and narrow.
I was going to say on the straight and narrow.
I don't feel like on the straight and narrow. I think the thing that's kept me so focused and driven and wanting to do it is having the two most important people in the world to me also doing it. And, you know, one's my husband, and he did it to support me, and he didn't need to stop. And, you know, maybe one day he will go back to having a drink because he only ever had one or two anyway. And he is lucky he can moderate. He can take it or leave it, and he's left it for as long as I have.
Which is amazing. And
having you, and, you know, you like I say, you were my inspiration, but now you're my motivation as well. And I just love that I've got you.
I love that I've got you too. Oh, we really hooked then, didn't we?
We don't. So, anyway, on that note, I think that's the end of today, really. There's not much else we can say. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy finding out a little bit more about what brought us here, and, you know, send us your stories as well. We love to hear things about how people got here and how they're doing, and please email us because we'd love to share that with people on our future podcasts.
Absolutely. And if you're in the process of being in that tug of war in your own mind, I promise you, it's not as scary as it seems.
Don't beat yourself up if you keep falling off the wagon, so to speak, because it gives you more tools in your toolbox, and, you know, it makes you stronger.
So don't give up.
So next time we are going to be talking about our first 30 days and our own experiment, because as you just heard, Lisa decided she was going to do 100 and I decided I was going to give 30 a go, and here we are, still sober and sober forever.
Yay!
We'll speak to you soon.
Bye.